Good morning. That's a really nice slide, but that ain't mine. Got to be very flexible up here. Here I am. So I might as well admit it, I'm addicted to love. I wish I could sing that for you. And I blame her. This is my grandmother. For 25 years, she showered me with unconditional and unwavering love. Not to mention tons of presents and ice cream from Gertie's on the south side of Chicago. And she even told me when I was really young that I was the third most important person in her world after my mom, number one, and Jesus, number two. I mean, who the hell would tell their kid, their grandkid? So a lot of pressure, but a lot of love. And so I felt this enormous love at a very early age, which explains why today I am addicted to espresso and potato chips, my dogs, my husband, politics, music, hiking, and more, and not necessarily in this order, but pretty much. And I might as well admit it, I'm addicted to work. And I blame these folks. I have a lot of blame in my life, I guess. I blame my mom and my dad, who instilled in me this Irish, Norwegian, Catholic, Protestant work ethic, which instilled in me at a very early age a love for work. And since the 5th grade, there were no child labor laws on the south side of Chicago, I have loved every job since the 5th grade. Freud has famously said, love and work, work and love. That's all there is. And one of my favorite authors, Tolstoy, has said one can live magnificently if one knows how to love and work. And I couldn't agree more. So for the past 45 work years, I have brought my love for life, my love for the job, my love for my colleagues, my clients, the customers, to the job. I felt it was like too valuable a resource to leave at home. But it wasn't until I joined Thresholds 5 years ago that I made a conscious decision to lead with love. And that's because I was absolutely unqualified to lead this organization in any other way. I'm so sorry to my staff who are sitting through this. And do not tell the board of directors what I just said. But I was unqualified. I had no mental health policy expertise, no MBA, no clinical social work degree, no counseling degree. I didn't know ACT from DBT to CBT to IPS to BS. All acronyms. When the board asked me about fidelity, I thought they were talking about my marriage. And one of my staff people mentioned CARF the first week. I swear she said barf, but she swears she said CARF. But I did believe in love. And I believe that with love as the base, and then with the best people, processes, and technologies available, I could help lead this great organization, because it is a great organization, and I could lead it from great to greater. So what I'm going to try to do for the next 15 minutes or so is answer this big question. Can you power an organization with love? The very short answer, but I don't want you to leave in the next minute, is yes. At least according to Dr. Duncan Combe, who wrote this really special article in the Harvard Business Review last summer. And so what I'm going to try to do is show my experience at Thresholds, everything I've learned from Dr. Combe, and many, many other gurus, that in fact we can power an organization with love. I'm going to start with love is good for the CEO, at least this CEO. And that's in part because of these things called oxytocins. I don't even know exactly what the hell they are. But according to Dr. Paul Zak, the author of The Moral Molecule, the more you give and receive love and trust, the more you stimulate the production of this neurohormone called oxytocin. So it turns out that in addition to work and love and espresso, I am addicted to oxytocin as well. Now, I think a lot of CEOs, maybe many in this room are, but don't even know it or won't admit it. But the very best of them talk about love all the time and how it leads them and their organizations to success. John Hope Bryant here says that if you lead with love, people will follow you forever. Maria Rodale, who, is she there? Maria Rodale, a CEO of the largest independent publisher of health and wellness and environmental material in the world, says there is no way you can heal the human heart, no way you can heal the human planet until you heal the human heart. And right here from Seattle, Howard Schultz from Starbucks says, there is one word that comes to mind when I think about my company and my people, and that word is love. Everything we do is steeped, I think that's a pun intended, steeped in respect and love and humanity and care and compassion. And the CEO of Whole Foods says it the most simply. There is simply no way to build an effective high-trust organization unless you build a high-love organization. I talk about love all the time at work. My staff knows this. In emails, in speeches, in town hall meetings, I tell my staff, my board, our clients, the customers, even those in government and managed care companies, can you believe that I love them? I don't ever expect to hear it back, but when I do, it feels really, really good. But let me be also really clear here. Love does not mean, well, first of all, love and boundaries. So for all you HR and all you clinical people, I understand boundaries. I follow them. I hope you do too. So no, I have no boundary issues here. But love, in my context, does not preclude tough conversations, employee evaluations, high expectations, metrics, and results. And it certainly doesn't preclude you from having to move people on from your organization to another opportunity. Because when I am dead and gone, I want this on my tombstone. He loved, but he got stuff done. Love is good for your employees, and I have evidence to prove this. There was a really remarkable study a couple years, appropriately called What's Love Got to Do with It? But Doctors Bassard and O'Neill did a 16-month study of a big healthcare company on the East Coast. 16-month study. And what they found was that in units of this particular long-term care setting, in units that had high cultures of love, that employees had less absenteeism, less burnout, higher job satisfaction, and greater commitment to teamwork. They also found that the clients in these particular units felt better, had better moods, and had fewer trips to the ER. So they were a little concerned that this was a study in a healthcare setting in a so-called helping industry. So they interviewed 3,200 people in 17 different companies over 7 industries, from higher finance to higher ed. They found exactly the same thing, that employees in units with strong cultures of companionate love is the word that they used, had better accountability, better commitment, greater job satisfaction, and much greater commitment to teamwork. I want to share with you a very quick story. Last summer, hours after the Orlando Pulse nightclub massacre, I sent an email to my 1,400 staff early in the morning, very sad. I was mad, I was angry, I was hurting really, really bad. But I sent an email to staff on a Sunday morning and said, despite all of this, I choose hope, and I choose and focus on love, and people who love. People like you who get up every day to make this world a happier, healthier, safer place. I want to be with people like you. I want to be with you. So you can imagine the responses I got on Sunday from scores and scores of people. But my favorite response was from a young woman who said, thank you so much for sending this email. You absolutely made my day. I want to thank you for spreading love and compassion and kindness. I hope you don't mind that I forwarded your email to everybody in my life, including my sister who works at a major university, so that she can spread this and give an example of what love and support from the very top means. And I'm going to keep forwarding your email, she said, so that we can spread love even further. So as much as I love talking the love talk, walking the love walk is paramount. And what that means is that you have to have very specific, programs and policies and procedures. According to Dr. Paul Zak, again, who wrote about this in the Harvard Business Review in February, in this article called The Neuroscience of Trust, how to engage employees and how to get employees to trust and work even better for the organization. He has 8 big tips. And at Thresholds, we try to implement all 8 of these and more. The first, of course, is recognizing excellence in your employees. And we do this all the time, in publicly and privately, with celebrations and awards and lots of opportunities to cheer them on, and bonuses and pay whenever we can. We induce challenge stress better than anyone, I would argue. And this is really about giving employees the opportunity to go beyond their comfort zone and giving them the support and the confidence they need to do that. We give people discretion in their jobs, even those employees that have very high productivity demands, because micromanagement kills the human spirit. We enable job crafting whenever possible. Of course, we have job descriptions, but we say run. We share information broadly. Some people would say too broadly, but I believe that information is power. We intentionally build relationships across our vast organization and up and down the so-called chain of command, because love has no hierarchy. We facilitate whole person growth, and we do this with employee-led initiatives focused on spiritual, financial, emotional, and physical health. And finally, we show vulnerability. Last summer, after the horrific shootings of so many unarmed black men and women in our country, and the vicious sniper attacks against police in many cities, we were all hurting. But we convened a series of town hall meetings at Thresholds. I was able to attend 2 of them. These were really, really difficult. People were angry, people were hurting, people were crying, people were really pissed off. But we wanted people to come together to try to heal together and to co-create solutions. And for me, the most remarkable moment was when a young African-American man started crying, which made all of us cry. But he said that he was crying not just because he was sad about what was happening in this country, but that he was happy because he was sitting around a room with people who cared. And he was in a room knowing that his family and friends in other parts of the city and other parts of the country were not having this conversation right now. But for those of you who are concerned about data and the data geeks in this room, I know there's many, we did a survey of 1,400 people, and more than 90% of the respondents answered yes to these questions. In some cases, 95%. Thresholds builds and promotes a positive culture. I feel like I can be myself at work. My personal values are consistent with company values. My work challenges me, and I am learning and growing. And in their own words, they told us, there's always something new to do here. I get treated as a whole person. Our voices are heard, and we get a ton of support and a ton of praise. And we get to take on leadership roles beyond our very narrow job responsibilities. Which leads me to the third point. Love is good for your organization. In the last 3 years, we've won 6 major workplace awards, including 3 Tribune Top Awards for the best workplace in Chicago. 3 years ago, we were ranked number 14, and that year named the most meaningful workplace in the city. 2 years ago, we jumped to number 6, the 6th top large workplace in Chicago. We jumped because we had the highest increase in employee satisfaction and engagement of all companies surveyed. We also were featured in a 2-page spread, appropriately entitled Work from the Heart. This past year, we dropped to number 20. Yes, we dropped. But this is for an organization in a state that has not had a state budget in 2 years. This is for an organization that wasn't getting paid for months and months and months and had to rely on a line of credit to keep serving our clients. This is an organization that was not able to give raises or bonuses, I'm so sorry, folks, for 2 years in a row because the state wasn't paying us. Despite all of this, we were ranked the 20th top workplace in Chicago. So what else does love and hard work and strategy and good fortune do for an organization? In the last couple of years, we've grown from 700 employees to 1,400, from about a $55 million budget to almost $100 million, from 3 counties to 9. And we launched new programs that we've never done before, including addiction programs and first episode psychosis. This is love. And does this work? That's the question. But at the end of the day, the real question is love, all of this, good for the clients? We have served more people than at any time in our storied history, and I would argue have served them better. Nearly 90% of the 900 people that we have moved from nursing homes, where they had been warehoused for many, many years, are still living integrated lives, healthy lives in the community. The national benchmark for supported employment in this country is 40%. And as you can see, we're narrowing in on 50%. And in 2015, only 3% of our clients were arrested and booked in Cook County Jail. And we serve the hardest of the hard to serve. And this is in a county where 1/3 of those in Cook County Jail are living with a mental illness. Talk about love. But now I'm going to pivot for a moment, because I know a lot of you think this love thing is a little squishy. It might be a little too much like the unicorns and the rainbows. And that what you're really thinking about is power. And power imbalances and power dynamics and the use and abuse of power. Well, and I do not disagree with you. That work, like life, is also about power. And as much as I am addicted to love and to work and to espresso and oxytocin, I am addicted to power. Because I believe in the power to heal, the power to uplift, and the power to transform. The power to resist and to persist and defy and defend. The power to create systems change and to change hearts and to change minds. So for me, love and power, in the workplace especially, are not enemies. They are friends. In his seminal book, Power and Love, A Theory of Social Change, Adam Kahane talks about power and love as these 2 axes of our individual and collective journeys. And either we figure out how to balance power and love to be the change we want to see and be, or we will fail. But it's my master of them all, Martin Luther King Jr., who says, power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Nobody in my organization, I would say any organization around this country, exemplifies love and power more than Lena, one of Threshold's leaders. Lena has been living with serious mental illness her entire adult life, but she's a fighter and an advocate and an activist, and she fights for power and love with power and love. I can't tell you how many people came up to me at our holiday party last December, scores of people, I feel, that said to me, Mark, Lena saved my life, including Ramir here. He was a teenager at the time, living under a bridge, eating out of a dumpster. And he had a speech impediment so bad he couldn't communicate to anyone. But Lena, she never gave up on him, ever. Today he speaks beautifully. He's had a job as a janitor recently, and he's an aspiring landscaper. He wears a beautiful suit every chance he gets and talks to young people about what it means to take control of their lives. Ramir thought he would be dead at 20, and he is very, very much alive. And then there's Angelica, who told me that Lena helped her find a therapist, find an apartment, and get her back into school. She's about to get her BA in psychology. She told me that not all godmothers are fairies, and not all superheroes wear capes when she described Lena. Talk about power and love. So for me, the question, folks, is why wouldn't we all lead with love when the evidence is so clear and growing? The evidence is clear and growing that it works. I feel like now more than ever in this country, in this world, we need an antidote to anger and apathy. We need an antidote to discourse that disses and dishes and diminishes us all. We need to be vulnerable and bold and fierce and fight for power and love with power and love. I'm going to end with a verse, too, from one of my favorite singers. I will not sing it to you because the people would rush out of the room here if I tried. But my musical muse is a woman named Mary Chapin Carpenter. I adore her. She knows that. It's really scary, I know. But she sings, "It don't bring you love if you don't love. And it don't bring you time if you ain't got time. And it don't bring you strength, baby, if you ain't strong. And it don't bring you kindness if you ain't kind." So I want to thank you for your love, for your time, for your strength, and your kindness. Ladies and gentlemen, let's lead with love. Thank you.